What's up, guys? I am going to be changing out my gasket seal. Mine had leaked. I power washed my bike earlier, cleaned it all up, but in order to start that, I gotta drain the oil, and then it's gonna be a long process in getting into it. But here we go. I also think, if I'm not mistaken, I am probably the first, not the first to ever do it, but I think the first to ever make a video or attempt to put a video together on how to change a gasket seal / water pump seal on a Kawasaki 2014 450 4-stroke. So here we go. I'm going to throw a lot of time lapse in. Once I get into it, I will explain things, obviously, when I'm changing things. But other than that, here we go. For starters, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get my drain plug. So I'm gonna go get my socket, get on it, undo my drain plug, let all the oil drain out. Once I'm done with that, or as I'm doing that, I will also undo the oil filter cover, undo that, take the filter out, and just let it drain out. Once I think it's drained out enough, then I'm going to start undoing other things and start pulling it apart. I gotta take off my brake. I'll have to take off my kickstart along with the water pump. And okay, so once you got all that done, next thing you're gonna start to get towards your gasket is gonna be undoing your brake lever, and then over here undoing your kickstart mount, or your kickstart, kickstart mount. After you do that, obviously, then you're gonna take off your clutch cover and your water pump cover, and then I will stop it again and go over what you got to do next. I also forgot to say, mention, so when you're also going to be doing, when you're doing the gasket seal, you're also going to have to probably do your water pump seal. So for me, it's here. Obviously, you got to undo this hose. So what I'm going to do also is take a zip tie and zip tie it over here to the exhaust just to get it out of the way. Then here, if you can see, I will undo all those, which are going to be a 8mm. And of course, more of the coolant is going to come out and spill. Normally you don't want to mix it, but at the end of the day, I have a jug over here, as you can see, and that's where I pour all my waste. And then, you know, make sure you take care of your waste properly. But yeah. Alright, so once you you take off the basically clutch cover, now you gotta go into here. So these are gonna be your 10mm. You take those out first. They're gonna have springs on them, and you just want to place them into a Ziploc bag so you don't end up losing them, or just put somewhere safe. And then we're going to pull out this bolt and then pull out all the clutch shims. Okay, so once you get those out, you will get the shillings out, and then you're gonna look like this. So you gotta get this bolt out. There is a tool that will basically hold this in place. I don't obviously have that. I also don't exactly know for sure what size this is, but I am using a 1 1/4. Seems to fit. And I'm gonna use an impact gun to see if I can basically quickly dislodge it versus shoving something in here and doing it that way. Normally you're going to want to have a tool for this, but what I ended up doing was going to get a wrench that was small enough, so I think it was either 8mm or 10. I wedged it in there so that way it didn't move, and then I used my impact gun to basically go super quick and unlock that bolt. I went through many things to try to make it work, but I highly recommend you just go get the tool, or just go to a shop. That way you don't damage anything. But yeah. So once you get that bolt undone, make sure you take it out. There's gonna be a washer behind it. I lay it back to how I pulled it out. Behind this is gonna be that, right? And this is gonna also have a washer on here that comes off, but make sure you lay it back the way it is. I just kept it the way it was. And what you do is the way to get it out is you line it up with the teeth here, just pull it straight out. Obviously there's still some oil in there. And then you go and take your 8mm and you're gonna go basically around the housing. And I suggest you put it in a Ziploc bag like I have. Still have your oil pan underneath or some kind of way to catch oil. Just looking at it, I'm probably gonna spill some. It's the nature of the beast, is what it is. So if you are very particular about your floors, you know, I would put something more protective underneath or do it in a different area. But so I'm going to now pull off that and inspect the inside, make sure none of the gears are messed up. Once I pull that off, I'm going to inspect that seal, and then we're going to basically clean it up, put a new seal on, and put everything back together. Alright, so once you have inspected the inside of that, you put the new seal on, as you can see. So this is the aftermarket one. It's not a metal one. The fitting is a little interesting. We'll see how well it handles. But you put everything back in, you line everything up, make sure everything, you know, looks good like the way it's supposed to. Clean that up. Now what I did was I put it all on loosely, Then I got everything on. And normally you're not supposed to use power tools, just because then you can over torque, you can strip, you can whatever. So what I did was I basically went around with my Craftsman. I just gave it a quick trigger pull, so that way I'm going around pulling everything nice and tight. Once I got it basically almost sealed back up, I went around one more time real quick with it, and then I switched to using it, by hand. Made sure everything was nice and snug. I didn't force anything, just made sure it was tight. I'm sure there's torque spec to it, but it's nice and snug. Kind of give it the same effort that you used to take it off with. No need to crank on it, just nice little twist, and that's it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, put it back into here, and then I will take that part and put it back in the same way it's supposed to, along with the rod there. After that's put in, I will be putting back the clutch. Once that's all put in, I'll then put in the water seal pump. But the thing is I gotta clean it first, so I'll make sure I clean it before I do that. And then I'll put the new seal on, put that all back in, and that should be that. After that, I will put the cover back on for the clutch, fill it back up with oil, do the regular oil routine, and then pull back on my kickstart and my back brake, and that is gonna be basically it, and then you'll be done. I would then go through your gears while it's on the stand, that way to make sure that your clutch got put in back correctly. If you took it all out as one, laid it down, and just put it all back in as one, you should be good to go. But we will see. This might be a weird angle just because my GoPro had died, so I am basically at the stage now. So I am putting back in here these. I'm gonna put them in. They're all about equal depth. I'm gonna go star pattern all the way tight, and then in my hand snug them. Well, maybe just impact snug, because that's what I use to get off. Then after that, I will be putting back on my cover. That seal is still good. Once I put that cover on, I will put in a new filter. I'll also take videos of that, and then I'm going to clean out that water pump residue. Actually, I might do that after I just put that cover on. And then once after I'm done with that, I'm going to go and put my drain plug back in. I'm going to fill it back up. I'm going to go through the gears without it being on, just to make sure everything's smooth. And then after that, I'll probably start it up, let it run for 3 minutes, make sure the oil cycles through, go through gears again, and then check for leaks. And no leaks, no nothing, we are good to go. It rubs all the time, so it's super common for it to come loose, especially if you ride hard. So that's where I'm at, and I will get back to you as soon as I put all these back on. Alright, so I have put the cover back on. I had put a new oil filter in there, put my spring back in there. I don't know if you'll be able to see in the time lapse, but I fell out. I fished it out of that. So once you put the spring in there, then you can either put your oil filter in, or what I like to do is, because if you look right there on that rubber right there, it has basically like a male part to it, and I put it onto the male part, and then I put the whole thing in there evenly. You don't force it in, you just kind of smoothly push it in. Once you have it basically almost flush, you put your long screw up to the top, again 8mm, and your short one at the bottom. What I like to do is I usually hand tighten them
all the way down, and then I go and basically just fit in there once it's nice and snug, and tie it down like I said, nice and snug. I don't force it on more than it needs to be. I just put it once I feel like, okay, it's snug, I'm done. Again, there is, I'm sure, a torque spec to it. It's probably in the manual book, which mine is up there, but I've done a good amount of oil changes on my bike now. I'm not an expert, you know what I mean? Sure, you could say I'm cutting corners, or I'm being lazy. Yeah, you know, to each their own. What I'm gonna do now is, as you can see, there's like grime there. So that's from the other seal. What I'm gonna do is I am going to use a like paint scraper, one of these, and I'm gonna slowly pick at getting that all off, smoothing it out. Try not to put any gouges into it, because obviously when that new seal goes on, it's not going to be fully sealed if you make, you know, indents or whatnot. And then if you do have one, I highly recommend as well having a small flathead screwdriver. It just makes it easier as well. But yeah, there we go. All right, so everything as far as the hardware for this and all that is all put back on nice and snug. I'm about to put on my kickstart, and I'm going to start it, but I'm going to do that after I fill the oil and refill my coolant. So once I refill both of those and the level on my globe or on my eyelet thing looks full, I'm gonna wipe everything back down so it's nice and clean. I'm gonna take out my exhaust plug, put on my kickstart it, start it, and pull it probably back farther on my stand. And I'm just gonna go shift through gears. Make sure I put all the gears in correctly. I don't know if there is a order, I don't know if there's not. We're literally about to find out here in a few minutes. Once that's all put back on nice and neat, I'll put my brake back on. I will then put my what is it called, a guard, not a guard, yeah, you could say a guard, but I'm gonna put that back on and we're done. It's taken me probably about 3 hours. It's probably a lot more than what it would normally take, but all right, so I ran it, and obviously I need to add more oil, because as you can see, it is low. So what I'm doing now is I'm gonna add more oil, watch it rise, and kind of rinse, repeat until I see that it stays at a good level. All right, so that is that. I'm gonna put the back brake on. Everything else is good. I put that cover back on. As you can see, oil has held. I went through all the gears. At first, when I did it, it was a little rough, obviously. Then I came back over here to this side. Seeing that the oil was low, makes perfect sense. Now it is completely full. It is good to go. My fluids are all topped off. Tomorrow, I am not working, so what I'll do, it'll be Wednesday. I am going to basically test ride. And I'm going to make sure everything sounds good, is good. Bring it back in probably after like 15 minutes to see it, make sure the seal all held. Yeah, on to the next stuff, man. Friday, my rims should be coming in on Friday. I gotta get one more inner tube. One of them got lost in the mail, you know, is what it is. I'll be probably taking those over to Pirate Ship Power Sports here in Wilmington, North Carolina. They're Suzuki and I want to say Honda dealership, but they're good people. They have always taken care of me, so I will be going to them.